What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our reaction show where we're going to break down everything that has happened in and around the Hounds organization. Primarily, we're going to talk about the Hounds 2-0 win over Detroit. As we are speaking, the Riveters, I believe, are up 3-0 still over FC Buffalo. Tatum Nelson getting the hat trick, just like putting her name in the history book even more, getting that Mongols bump from when we talked to her earlier this week. Welcome, everybody. I am Mike Sparks. Joining me is Steve Mattias. We are doing this live.
We are, which, Mike, it's fun doing it live.
It is fun doing it live.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's here because they might all be watching Riveters games. But just like the thought of we're doing this live and we haven't done it live in a little while. So that's exciting. That's fun.
Yeah, some behind the scenes stuff. We've been recording a little bit earlier. It's just so that I can kind of edit some pieces together and make sure the audio is clean. But we said, you know what, the heck with it. This week we are going to do it live. Did I do our intros? I'm Mike Sparks, Steve Mattias. Did I say that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's live.
You're live. You don't remember.
But yeah, there's so much going on. I mentioned before, I'm kind of behind the eight ball a little bit, just getting slammed at work. The board behind me has not been updated in like 3 weeks.
I was about to ask, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I've been slacking. I apologize. I feel like I'm not putting in the work. Yeah, we've got tons of stuff to talk about here. We alluded to some stuff behind the scenes during last week's show. We're going to get into that just a little bit more this week, but let's just dive right in with Hey Sir.
And now, Hey Sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
It's like magic or something. They won. They won. Do I believe that this is real life? 2 fun goals. Really love them. Also, so excited for Robbie. I didn't know that his wife was pregnant, so that's really great. Congratulations. To be honest, like, does this really affect how I feel about the coaching of the Riverhounds? No, not really. But you know, we beat Detroit. It's really nice to beat Detroit. I mean, they want to be rivals with us. Are they rivals with us? I don't know. I don't think so. Do I feel a little mediocre? Clearly, I feel a little mediocre. But they did it, right? They got 3 points, and I guess that's what matters here. And we keep moving forward. So let's go Hounds.
This has been Hey Sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
So what I hear Laura Ellen saying in that is that Detroit thinks that they should be aspiring to our level, and that's why we don't consider them rivals. Much like the people we consider rivals, I think, don't consider us rivals.
Yeah, we're all just aspiring to be somebody else's rival. You know, it's like I always tell my wife, some people have imaginary friends. She has imaginary enemies. Like I feel like all these teams have imaginary enemies, and like it's never really a thing. So as we are doing this live, I completely forgot to mention, we're not going to talk about the Riveters tonight. I think Kaz and Peter are likely going to do a recap show early this week. So that's the game is happening as we speak. So we figured it's not worth going live to talk about that. No Josh. So I'm going to, that was
that's not bad. I like it.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't hear it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I have a
different but good
bottle with an actual cap.
So like on my end and on the listener's end, there was like this little and then good. Pop. So it worked.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's a victory. So we got to drink to that for sure. Laura Ellen she said that to me. She was like, I feel like we lost. And but we didn't lose clearly. Before we get into it, real quick, Steve, just your thoughts. They did release white kits, all white for the guys with it's basically like almost like an architectural drawing of Fort Pitt, and the guys have yellow as their like line art for the drawing, and the women, the Riveters, have red. So exact same kit, just different colors. Thoughts on that approach?
Well, so I want to say for the Riveters, the fact that they did a third kit for a team that plays 10 games, absolutely awesome, right? Like that is cool. And they are wearing it right now and it looks really good. I really like the design. I think it's a really sharp design overall. I am just mystified why the Hounds now have two basically predominantly white kits.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that as kind of like a black kit, or even a yellow kit with like the black like architectural drawing. That it is white with yellow. I have a white kit. It's the polka dot one. I really liked those kits, and so I snagged it on sale. But it's just like, I don't buy white kits because they get dirty so easily.
Yeah.
And so that's my disappointment. I think it's like, I want the coolest kits to be ones that I want to buy, and white ones I don't want to buy. So it's a cool kit that I won't buy.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I know we were sort of asking for both the men and women to have the same third kit, and this was really close to that. I applaud them for basically doing the same thing and just going with red or yellow.
I even think I like that it is not the same color schemes, right? Like that there is a difference with it, but it is the same design.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It was also interesting. The men don't have a sponsor on the front of their kit, which I kind of dig. Like, I'm kind of a traditionalist in that the sponsors are fine. I understand why we have to do them. But more often than not, if I wear a kit out, people will look at me and they'll be like, oh, UNICEF, like, do they have a soccer team? Like, what is that? Or, oh, AHN, why are you wearing like a Health Networks shirt? And I'm like, no. The team is the Riverhounds. AHN is like, you have to explain it to them. And so
rural America.
Right. I know. So yeah, I thought the kits were cool. We'll see how often we wear them. I know after last season, it seemed like we tended to wear our third kit more than our second kit. I don't know if that'll be the case since there's no sponsor on the front of this. I don't know how that impacts what the guys will do.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was cool. It was a cool effort. I wouldn't not get it, I guess I'll say. I'm not like rushing out to buy it, but I don't hate it enough to be like, burn it all down. So
no, it's a great design. It's just white.
All right, so let's talk about the game itself. The Hounds beat Detroit 2-0. Robbie, I just sort of put in the section, and he's on the cover art. Robbie Mertz's special night. Actually, you know what? We typically save Mondo's moment to like the end. This is all going to revolve around Robbie, I think, a lot. So let's let Mondo have his moment right now.
It's time for Mondo's moment, the top moment of the game from the Mandalorian.
This week's Riverhounds match provides us with a pair of Mondo moments. The first coming in the 37th minute, when Robbie Mertz's cross meets a perfectly timed Perrin Barnes run for Barnes' first professional goal. This is the way. Then in the 66th minute, Robbie Mertz gets on the score sheet himself, scoring his 20th career goal for the Riverhounds and becoming the third ever Hounds player to reach the 2020 club. This is the way.
This has been Mondo's moment. Go Hounds.
This week also has a super secret third Mondo moment that occurred before any whistle blew or any ball was kicked. Robbie Mertz's wife gave birth to their first child this week. Congratulations to the happy new parents. This is the way.
We should have just had Drew on the show. Like, he just kept going, and I was like, yes, I have to add the third one because, yes, congrats to Robbie and the Mertz family. Thursday, Callahan Lewis Mertz was born. It sounds like Robbie didn't get a lot of sleep Thursday night, but his wife had him sleep somewhere else Friday night so that he'd be ready for the game Saturday. His quote was, honestly, so much credit goes to the team tonight because you could feel the energy was a little bit different tonight. I hope we can continue it, but this was something I'll never forget, the best 2 days of my life. So, Steve, talk a little bit about Robbie and sort of what you saw from him on the field.
Man, I mean, this is one of the things that's fun about building these relationships with players is watching them transition from graduates out of college into further into adulthood. And so like, this is an awesome moment for him. And having seen him over the years, gotten to know him over the years, having gotten to know his dad a little bit, right? Like just like such an exciting thing as you watch these guys grow up even more after they enter adulthood and become pros with the Riverhounds. And so that's a lot of fun. And so it brings me more joy, I think, that we do get to know these players and we get to see them. We get to celebrate these types of moments with them. And so, yeah, just a big heartfelt congratulations to all of the Mertzes, but especially Robbie and his wife. I mean, that's it's great. It's beautiful. And glad to see it. He was on cloud nine. And I knew that like they were having a baby at some point. I didn't realize it was this close. And so it didn't even hit me that that's why he celebrated the goal the way he did.
Yeah.
And then later it was like, oh, Robbie, that's cheeky. That's beautiful. Like to get the goal too. Right. Like, and so it's like, at this level, the guys that aren't scoring that much, like, are they thinking like, I'm going to try to score for this moment, special moment, and I've got my celebration? Or is that impromptu because he didn't expect it, because that's not the job he's normally supposed to do? I don't know. I want to ask him that question though.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to talking to him and seeing if the celebration was premeditated or not.
Mm-hmm.
But from the start of the game, it felt like he was playing on another level too. There was a set piece earlier in the game where he put a really dangerous ball into the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I messaged you at that point. I went, he was going for a goal there. Like the keeper had to make a save.
Yep.
Everyone was thinking it was to a runner, but he was going at goal from 30 yards out. And then he had a number of plays where he was just all over the place. He got the first assist to Perrin Barnes, where he cut inside, sent the cross. Barnes basically dives over the defender and heads it in, which the fun story behind that was that Robbie, in not sort of having a kid, not really being around, not being home, had apparently left his cleats at the Montour Training Center, and Barnes actually drove to pick them up for him and brought them to Highmark. And so they were joking that that was Robbie paying Barnes back, was getting him his first professional goal. And then on the flip side, Barnes gets essentially the assist on Robbie's goal as well. Streaks down the other side of the field, crosses it in. I think DG got a little flick on it, but still, like, it was a great setup play between the two of them. But Robbie was just on another level last night.
He really was. I mean, he was on another level on all sides of the ball as well. I mean, he was breaking up a ton, which we have seen him do time and time again. But I mean, there was also a moment in the first half where he drove into the box with the ball at his feet, and it took multiple players to get the ball off of him. I mean, I think, like, he beat the first player. He's trying to find space for the shot. Another player is like attacking him there, and then two more come from the other side, and he has to kind of spin and kick the ball back out because he just got smothered. But like, it took four players at that moment, and so just like some really memorable moments from him. And great to see him have that success in such a happy week for them, right? Like, it just adds to it.
Yeah. Speaking of a happy week, you also sort of sent a message to me. So after Barnes scored, he immediately went to the Steel Army and started high-fiving people. Do you think that was a message or not after our conversation last week?
I think that was, again, was that intentional? Or was that in the moment? I don't care, and I think it was beautiful, and I think it is exactly the types of things we want to be seeing. You want to see the players have that relationship with the fans and for that to continue. And so I don't know if that was I'm going to do this even if I shouldn't be doing this type of thing or not, but I loved it. I mean, it was absolutely great. I mean, great celebration, and you could see the fans loved it that were there.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit more into the subtext. We alluded to it last week. We'll talk a little bit more here after we get out of this game. It's a 2-0 win. Just how do you feel after this? It feels like, we've been on this sort of touch stretch where it's can't really score. We're kind of picking up losses and draws. Everybody's kind of down on what's going on with the season. Detroit comes in. We obviously don't like Detroit. I know Laura Ellen said that they hope that they could be our rivals. I would start to consider them the closest thing to a rivalry that we may have, maybe, but not entirely. And so to beat them 2-0, I know that Detroit is kind of floundering a little bit. They have no wins in their last 5. Their last 2 are losses. How are you feeling after this one?
I love that we got to see 2 goals. I temper that with the fact that we have played 11 games in the league, and we've played 16 games overall, and we've scored more than 1 goal twice. And so I don't know that this win makes me feel like, oh, yay, we're figuring everything out, right? Like, we scored it against the other team that I would say is kind of at that level of kind of rivals, which is Birmingham, a team that we know that we can beat regularly, but there are times that they've gotten the best of us. And so, I don't know that this game by itself makes me feel like everything is good and we're on the upswing. And I don't know that I think that I'm confident that we have things in place to go out and score the goals that we need to score. I think that Augie put in a really good shift last night. He was working hard. There was a moment, actually, I think it was on the ball that All almost scored on, where, I mean, I love to see as he goes out wide to collect that ball. I mean, signaling where he wants the guy to go. And then I realized that it's Charles All. And the interplay between that was really good. And he took a couple of shots. He had one where he put it right to the keeper from a little further out. And so I think there's a couple things with that it looks like he is still pressing hard and it's not working, and he's not relaxed when he's got the ball, especially when he's the one looking for the shot. But you do see the quality that has made him a successful player at the same time. And so something has to break there. I hope it does sooner or later. I don't know that I look at this game and say things are figured out either, though, because we've talked so much about how we went into this season, and Lily talked about wanting a lot more possession and a new formation, and we've reverted back to the old formation, and Mike wins the prize again for a Hounds win with less possession.
44%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are my big takeaways. It's not fixed.
Yeah. I mean, and this was a case too, where I know we've been itching for Augie and Jockeson, and it feels like fans have kind of been ticking off all the games of where, okay, when have they actually been able to play together? Because Jockeson was hurt for a while. And this was a case where literally Jockeson came on for Augie in the second half. So we were sort of resigned to play with a single striker now. And for whatever reason, at that point we're up 2-0. Is it we're just trying to hold on to the lead or whatever? But I still don't feel confident in our strikers being able to score. If this was a game that Robbie wasn't playing, I won't say out of his mind. We've seen Robbie play like this before. But if we didn't see Robbie kind of take it to another level, are we winning this game 2-0? I don't know.
Well, and I think, are we winning? We play this exact same game against another team in this league. Are we winning against a lot of teams in this league? And that I don't know either. Yeah. I mean, Detroit looked awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Other takeaways from this game?
No. Robbie was the highlight. Yeah. I think the guys played well, but I think I don't think that I take a lot away from this because I don't think Detroit came to play. They looked weak. They got one shot on goal. Yes, our defense was good, or they got one shot. It wasn't even on goal, right? I don't know how you can evaluate that. I don't know.
I think
I guess I do have one. All of the midfielders, in contrast to your one striker. Yeah. That Barnes, Sample, Walty, Etu, Griffin, Mertz, and Biasi, but playing as a center back in a back.
Yeah.
Right. But all of the guys that we expect to see contending for those starting midfield spots were on the field. And then you're bringing in All and O'Toole and Jockeson eventually, right? And so they all got their minutes.
Yeah, agreed. I will say this is going to kind of segue into kind of the last or bigger part of this conversation, or at least what I expect to be sort of the bigger part of this conversation. I think what's interesting is the fact that those who are close to this team, the general sentiment that I'm getting from those that are close to this team is the overall excitement for Robbie and the Mertz family.
Yes.
And the only reason why everyone can be so excited about Robbie and the Mertz family is because of the connection that the players have with the fans, and how unique that is to Pittsburgh is a huge reason why a lot of this like behind the scenes stuff that we're going to get into is such a big thing. And that was something that clicked for me last night, where we could have drawn this game. We could have lost this game 3-2. And I think a lot of fans would have still been so happy for Robbie and the performance that he put in, and the fact that they had a kid, and like the community around the players and the fans. You don't have that anywhere else in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you have that anywhere else in the USL, in all honesty. And so just something to keep in mind, I think, as we kind of go forward. I'm not telling you, that. I'm just saying everybody else. Something to keep
I didn't think you were telling me, but I appreciate the clarification.
Listen up, Steve. Yeah, no. Yeah, you're fine. Before we get into the I feel like I keep saying before we get into the topic, let's do our top 3. Robbie's at 1.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so Robbie gets 3 points. Who's your number 2?
So there are 3 players that I think are deserving of the next 2 spots. Barnes gets his goal, has the pass that leads to the second goal, played well, and played at the level that we've seen him playing, and so was really good. I think he is definitely there. And then Wachter played a really great game defensively. I still want to, though, say that I think Jackson Walty was everywhere in front of that defense all night long. And there weren't a lot of things that I think he did that shows up on the score sheet, but his movement, his play, making it hard for Detroit anytime they did get the ball was really, really strong. And so I am stuck between those two a little bit.
So I'm with you on Barnes. I think when you get your first goal, you get basically the assist on the second goal. And like you said, has been at this level ever since we've kind of seen him come in. Like, yeah, absolutely. I would put him at 2. I was torn on 3 as well. My thought was, this was a case where I don't think that Detroit registered a single shot on Dick. And so in that case, you kind of have to give it up to the defense. I kind of looked at the defense statistically, and the biggest thing that stood out was that Wachter had 5 interceptions on the night. Really good. But I also totally see your argument about Walty. I think that entire line, and a lot of times Walty is part of that line, is responsible for limiting the chances that Detroit is getting.
And I'll even say that I think the reason that Wachter had the ability to do so well defensively is because Detroit was attacking down his side a lot more, as opposed to Biasi's side. And Walty was playing so well that Suber didn't have much to do. Yeah.
Do you want to go Walty? I'm fine going Walty. All right, so we'll go Walty at 3. So Mertz at 1.
I'm trying to read
Barnes
that.
At 2. Yeah, I know.
Is that 11 or is that 13?
So Walty's at 11, but I literally have 3 weeks worth of games.
I know you have 3 weeks, but has anybody caught him? Is my question.
So I think so. Mertz has 2 weeks in a row where he got 6. And so that would put Mertz at 13 and Walty would be at 12 after this. So they're kind of neck and neck at this point.
Right.
We thought Walty was
seeing competition,
right? We thought Walty was so far out in front, but Mertz has caught him. Barnes has multiple games with points as well. So he started a little bit lower just because he had 1. But he also was out with injury, and so he's playing catch up. But this is kind of where we're at.
Well, and I do want to reiterate, I mean, if you haven't been listening to us for a little while, Walty picked up a lot of early points because Walty has been playing really well all season, and not everybody else was putting themselves in positions to pick up points. Other people started putting themselves in positions to make this a real conversation, and so he hasn't had the chance because we've had to look at other players for those 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. I think he might have gotten 3 points, 3 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess turning the page from this game, from basically the final minute to what happened after the final minute. So we spent a lot of time talking about last week how the players were basically not allowed to come over and high five the fans. And in that case, take a selfie with them. We talked about how there was some stuff that was going on sort of behind the scenes that we didn't really want to reveal. And it wasn't because we were hiding stuff from people. It was just kind of waiting to kind of see how things play out. Here's what we can tell you now. And then, Steve, you and I are probably going to have a pretty blunt conversation about what it all means for kind of the team moving forward. At the end of this game, not only did the players come over and high five the Steel Army, there was no talk at the middle of the field after the game. So traditionally, Bob brings all the players out to the middle of the field. I think the longest he's had them there was, 53 minutes was what they said on Houndsy. That was an away game. But typically they start the clock, and there was no clock to be started. The players basically shook the hands of the Detroit fans and then came over and they high-fived the Steel Army. Robbie got the victory selfie with the Steel Army, and that was kind of it. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason for the change is that there are reports that they stopped coming over to high-five the fans in the first place because Bob was unhappy of the fans being critical of the team's performance, which actually led to a verbal altercation that Bob had with a member of the Steel Army. And this has been, reported from multiple sources who were there and witnessed the event. So we know that this happened.
Yep.
After further consideration, and, basically Bob saying the players can't go over to high five the fans, the team reconsidered and they approved the players to go high five the Steel Army after the game. And we also received multiple reports after the game that Bob is no longer allowed to yell at the players on the field after the game. So with all of this, information that we are now sharing based on, like I said, multiple confirmed reports, what's it all mean, Steve?
What does it all mean? I don't know what it all means. I know what it indicates to me. And that is that something has gotten to a point where Bob's ability to just do everything the way he wants is no longer the case. And I'll be really clear. I mean, the Steel Army, the fans, we had a lot of conversations behind the scenes on the podcast, talking about, okay, if this doesn't improve, how do we respond and what next? Because this is why we are here. Right. A lot of it, right? Like I talked about at the beginning, you mentioned it, right? The reason it is so exciting for Callahan to be born for us is because we know Robbie. Right. We have that relationship with him where we can give him a hug and say congratulations and joke around with him about being a dad. And like you said, that's not something that happens throughout most of sports, even here at the USL level. And so I think that there is, I will be actually direct enough and say that I think that Jeff Garner is willing to put forth to Tuffy that things are important when it comes to the fan relationship in a way that I'm not sure Tuffy has had somebody advocate for in the past. And so I really appreciate the way that Jeff advocates for the fan and the fan experience week in and week out in both the ways that I see and the ways that I don't see. And so I think that's a big part of it, that Jeff brings a presence and a mindset to the organization that we haven't had in the past. And I think that now there was an issue that the team had to go figure out, that Jeff, Bob, Tuffy, others had to work through. And I'm glad that they arrived at the right decision. And that right decision is not only, yes, let the players shake hands, but no, Bob, stop yelling at the players in the middle of the field, because that is going on for too long. And that to me is an even bigger positive outcome and one I was not expecting.
I mean, look, some of the, again, sort of confirming from multiple reports, some of the rationale as for why initially the team said that they weren't going to have the players come high five the fans was because it was taking too much time before allowing the kids onto the field to go get autographs after the game. And that's laughable because it's Bob yelling at the players on the field that's keeping the kids off the field.
I think that argument was a Bob Lilly argument, not to defend his time yelling at the players. Yeah. What he sees as part of just the expectation. And so if it's taking too much time to get the kids on the field, well, then something else has to go because that doesn't go. That the team is saying, no, that is still important. It is important to maintain the fan relationship and to high five the fans. That is an integral part of the identity of the Riverhounds and the fans and the Steel Army. So then what has to go? No yelling at the end of the game. And not just no yelling, like no huddle, right? Like it's not even like, hey, bring it up. I get 2 minutes. It's nothing at this point, and that's great.
My question to you is, where do we go from here? Like, this is a case where it feels like because of the result and the fact that it's not just that the team still gets to come over and high five the Steel Army and do the victory selfie, but the fact that it's Bob's not allowed to yell at the players on the field anymore. This is a damning indictment of like the way he wants to do things. And I feel like, we've had conversations with players and stuff. We know they don't like that. And this is clearly they wanted to come over and we talked about how they wanted to come high five the fans after the last game, even though they were told not to. And the fans said, no, don't get in more trouble. This is a case now where the players know that Bob's not in control. Mm-hmm. Like he's been told, nope, this is what we're going to do instead. And so what does that mean from like a locker room perspective, from a like unhappiness perspective?
Yeah, no. I think that is actually a really positive thing. Because I think what that is doing is balancing the power in a way that is more towards health rather than the strong power imbalance where it was the Bob Lilly show for good and for worse. And so some things that say, no, Bob, like we're an organization that is not going to stand for that anymore is really, really healthy. We're going to protect our players. We're going to protect our fans from these things that we don't actually want to be identified with. What is discouraging to me is that Bob has been here for 8 years. Tuffy has watched this for 8 years. Why does it take a long span? I mean, you have some things about the past 12 months versus the previous 12 months that you're telling me about. The past 12 months have not been great. I mean, we had the goalless drought last summer, right around this time, kicking off. And then we've had a rough start to this season. Why does it take that and then that boiling over between Bob and a member of the Steel Army for this to be what finally produces that sort of change? Am I glad to see the change? Yes. But I still want to challenge Tuffy that you are a professional sports team owner, and just letting people do things that are not in the best interest of your fans and your players, the people that you employ, is not okay.
Look, we've talked about this for years, and to be fair, I would say that we are complacent in this as well. So I can't point the fingers at everybody, but we've all kind of known that Bob yelling at the players post game. We know that there are times that if he doesn't like somebody, like they just disappear and you just don't see them anymore, whether it's a performance issue, whether it's something else. And I think that we as fans have kind of tolerated it as long as the team is winning. And now we're in this stretch where the team's not really winning, or they're not performing to the level that a lot of us expect. And I think that as a fan base, it's not everybody. I think Jeff's still doing his job and selling it. There were still 5,000 plus fans at the game last night. So like, it's not everybody that's going that kind of knows what's going on or has a sense of what's going on. But I think those who have been around long enough and kind of seen the pattern, when you're not winning and you're still doing that stuff, it's a lot easier to shine a light on it and say, knock it off. Like this was tolerable if it was getting us wins, which it really shouldn't have been, but we accepted it. And now that we're not getting wins, it's a lot easier to say, no, you really need to knock it off because like this clearly isn't working and it's not right.
Yeah, it is easier.
Yeah.
It's also easier when it gets directed towards somebody other than one of the players. And as much as we care about the players, it's hard to know, like, how do you advocate for them other than saying, we don't like it, which is what we've said, right? Like, it's much easier when it's somebody that is not paid by the organization that is then the object of that same type of behavior, to be able to say, that's definitively not okay. And so condemning that, though, does not mean that we don't just as strongly condemn the treatment and the belligerence towards players or people in the organization. And so there are specific times I've seen that, and I'm sure there are people I don't know about, right? Like it's not something specific that I'm saying. I'm just saying like none of it is acceptable. And so it doesn't change the feelings I have about where I see the future of this team with or without Bob Lilly.
Correct. And I think that's the biggest thing. We have had conversations with former players who have told us that the reason why they left was they couldn't tolerate Bob and they were out. And I know that you have that in other places, but I think that we as fans, many of us were here before Bob Lilly. We will be here after Bob Lilly. And so to us, this is more about shaping a culture and defining what this club actually is to this city. And that's always going to outlast whoever it is that's here right now, hopefully. And especially with, now the team wants to expand and like triple its capacity. And we want to go play in Division I. Like this is just going to keep growing. And it just feels like we're heading in the wrong direction. You mentioned stats. I actually did some homework.
So I want to say one other thing. I also really want to commend some people that took a really strong but level-headed approach in addressing this with the organization. And people that were doing that in a way that I wish I could be able to articulate things with that level of importance and urgency without emotion that is undermining the message. And so there are a few people that are on the Steel Army board that I think really did good, hard work, and a few other people that I think contributed into that. And so I just want to say thank you, because I think that is why this was able to have such a successful outcome. By going out and saying, we're not going to stand for this, but we're also here for the players. We're here for the organization, but we're not here for this type of treatment.
Well, and also, kudos to someone like Jeff, who, as soon as he heard about it, said, "Oh no, this isn't okay either," and was able to deliver a result and say that this goes beyond, what happens on the field. So so real quick, just in terms of stats.
Bring out that notebook.
Let's bring out that notebook. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's a hot mess. But anyway, what I was trying to figure out is it's easy for us to kind of look back in time and just sort of look at how we finished each season and try to get a sense of where we are. But it's clear that, we put up some stats last week. Drew had sent us some stats. It turned out that we had actually scored 2 less goals than what he had put out. So it was actually worse than what we had thought. Yeah. But what I was trying to get a bigger picture of was this trend over time and not just looking at the full season, just kind of looking at like between seasons almost. So just to give you a picture, if we were to go back 1 year, between 1 year ago and today, and just kind of look at how have the Hounds performed over that span, we've had 12 wins, 10 draws, and 12 losses. So out of 34 games, we had 12 wins. Okay. We had a plus 11 goal differential, which if you get to the end of the season and you're at a plus 11, I wouldn't say that's terrible. Like, that's not bad.
It's very houndsy.
It's very houndsy. Yes.
That's kind of the range that we tend to end our seasons.
Tell you what, man, the number of like 1-0, 2-1 games that are in this notebook. That's kind of where we're at.
did not have time because of work stuff and whatnot. But I want to go back and kind of look at historic season by season by season. So I did a quick glance. And it was like the only season that we were like a big goal differential was 2023.
What
when Deep was scored 20. Yeah.
So just to give it some context, so over the past year, like I said, 12 wins, 10 draws, 12 losses. The year prior, so if we basically started in June and went back a year, so 2023 to 2024, June to June, we had 16 wins, 9 draws, and 9 losses. So essentially we had 4 more wins with 1 less draw and 1 less loss. So what, that comes out to 13 more points, something like that?
And 2 more games played, is that how that works?
Roughly, yes.
Okay.
But you figure at the end of 2024, we finished 7th. Now I know that this total gets you to just before that streak of where we had 8 games where we didn't score. So this was before that.
I think in that part of the 2023 season was also the Open Cup run, where you're adding a couple more games in against stronger opponents.
So clearly, if we're just comparing 12 months to 12 months, not even looking at full seasons, we are 14 points off of the mark from where we were last year before we had our 8-game drought of no goals. And that barely got us to 7th. So not great. Like if sort of history repeats itself at all, we will have 14 less points. And so here's where we're at. And this is sort of one of the big questions that I'm wrestling with. And I'm curious, maybe I'm not wrestling with it, but Detroit's been dreadful recently. We got to win there. Our next few games are Indy away, Rowdies at home, then Westchester away in really a meaningless Jägermeister Cup game. Both Indy and Tampa somehow are having worse seasons than we are. Tampa's in dead last, and Westchester's in League One. Imagine that over the next 3 games, we win each game 1-0. How will you feel at that point? Like, is everything good? Did we turn the corner? Are we okay? Okay.
No. I mean,
no hesitation. Just no. Yeah. Good.
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, Indy does not have as many points as us, but they also do have a game in hand. So they're 3 points behind us, but they've got the chance to make up those 3 points, right? So I don't think I can look at Indy and say they are worse than us,
terrible,
or better than, right? Like they are getting or losing points at basically the same rate that we are. Take last night out of the equation, we're level on points with them. And so Indy, I think, is on paper the hardest of those teams. We better freaking beat Tampa because Tampa is abysmal. I don't know what happened to the water in Florida, but Miami is in a playoff spot and Tampa is dead last. What is going on? Bob Lilly is not allowed to yell at the players. Are we in the Matrix? Right? My entire USL soccer championship world is upside down right now, in that sense. And so, So do I think that 3 points against Tampa is anything that makes me feel great? No. Like, they've gotten 5 points on the season.
Yeah.
If we don't beat them, it's even more troubling. But if we do beat them, it doesn't mean anything. And then Westchester, so what, right? Like, you're right. It's a meaningless game. No matter what happens, we can't advance in the Jägermeister Cup. And so we've got that game in Portland that mean nothing. And that's really disappointing because those are 2 games that could have been really exciting.
Yeah, agreed. So let me ask you then, it sounds like, I believe, Lily's contract is up at the end of the year. There's been a lot of people. I'm on the Lily out train now too. Is there anything that this team could do, considering everything that we know that's happened behind the scenes, considering the reasons that we were given, considering everything, that would make you feel that he deserves a contract extension at this point.
Do I think he deserves one? No. Am I convinced that Tuffy feels the same way? No. I think that the results over the past 12 months, the things behind the scenes, are reason enough. But I think that there is also another big reason for me that the team needs to move on from Bob Lilly at this point. That Tuffy, the organization, has made it very clear that they are doing everything to put themselves in position to be one of the initial teams in the USL Premier when that first division starts. Being ambitious at this point, not waiting till that point, of going out and making the changes that can make you successful at that level, because it's only going to get harder. And Bob has demonstrated that he cannot advance barely out of the first round of the playoffs, much less win a championship title in the playoffs at this level. And so why would I expect, and why should the organization expect, that he's going to bring that ability to do that at the next level up, when teams are spending more money, when teams are more ambitious, and teams are fighting to not be relegated, when there's actually something on the line. And so next season, this offseason, next season is a golden opportunity for the organization to start putting in the pieces to build for the future and not wait till the future is already here. And I will be really disappointed if they don't actually do that. And that, I think, is, if you want to say that that's the level that you want to be at, then you have to do it. And you can't wait till you're selling more tickets. You've got to do it beforehand, right? Like, I mean, maybe this won't work out, but we just saw this week that Oakland Roots fired their coach. And what do? They get U.S. International retired Benny Philhaber, who got 3 straight months of Manager of the Month in MLS Next Pro. Now, do I think that means that he will be an excellent USL Championship manager? I don't know.
Right.
But it shows that they're saying, hey, look, we're identifying talent based on results. Right. And so we're going to develop that talent over time, and we're going to put him in a place where he has the chance to be successful.
It's showing ambition in a way that we see the front office is showing ambition. We're literally going to triple the capacity of Highmark Stadium. Right. The marketing team has been selling out. You know, we've had conversations with Jeff where he says, literally, I have to plan our marketing campaign as if we are losing every single game, because our job is to pack that stadium regardless. We're not doing them any favors. And so I think that you need something on the field that's going to match that ambition. Yeah. And listen, I fully appreciate everything that Bob has done for this team up to this point. Before Bob was Dave Brandt, and we were not in the playoffs for any year that Dave Brandt was here. And before that, we were struggling as well. We've been consistently in the playoffs. My concern is that this is the year that doesn't happen. And if that's the case, is that how you want to go into a season where you've just added 5,000 more seats to your stadium, the first year we haven't made the playoffs? That makes it far more difficult for Jeff. And then you start getting into dollars and cents, and that is something that, like, Tuffy will be paying attention to. So, so my question to you is then, if we're both on kind of like the Lily out train, there's 2 questions here. A, what do you think will happen? And B, what would you like to see happen? So A, do you think he'll see out his contract and then won't be back? Or do you think that maybe he doesn't make it through the whole season and we do something else? And we can talk about what that something else could be if you want to go down that route. But what do you think happens?
I don't know, because again, my soccer world is turned upside down, because I never expected to have a game at Highmark Stadium with Bob Lilly sitting on the bench where he wasn't at center field talking to the players at whatever level. And that just happened last night, right? And so I don't know how much stock to put in this positive change that I've seen. There have been a lot of very unsubstantiated rumors, but just a lot of chatter that I'm hearing from random different people that, well, for this reason, Bob's going to choose not to come back even if he's offered, or for this reason, they might not bring, right? Like there's nothing that I can point to and say, here's something, right? But just like that people are talking about it. I don't know if it's people finding things out that are being misinterpreted or whatnot. But I think that there is just an air of question. And so if that air of question extends to the tops of the organization with Tuffy, then I think a lot of it depends on how well the team actually performs, or if things go smoothly outside of the off the field things, right? Like some of these behind the scenes things that we've talked about. If there's another incident, I think that needs to be definitive next day. Bob's gone. If the team actually starts getting results beyond the upcoming 3 games, then I think that Tuffy doesn't pull the trigger. What I do think is there are a number of guys on this team that are out of contract at the end of this season. And the unknown of will they be getting a contract offer from Bob Lilly or not is going to push a lot of these players to consider whether they want to be here or not. And so I think it is in the organization's favor to make a change sooner rather than later.
I personally am with you. So there's the two halves of like, do we think
It's
versus
weird to say
what
that
will
out
happen?
loud.
I know. Well, because even if he doesn't end up making it through the year, which is very, again, weird to say, but I agree with everything that you've said 1,000%. I think if you wait till the off season, you're already behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to figure out who to keep, who to sell. Right. Guys are already trying to figure out what are their plans for next year. We know that the USL Championship is very volatile in terms of like players have short-term contracts. They're already kind of looking around and trying to figure out what's next for themselves. And so we have seen that a number of these players can perform. I've said this before. I don't necessarily think this is a player issue. I think that this is very much a tactical issue. But I think that I'm with you in that if you're going to make a decision, the sooner you make the decision, the better, because that at least gives you time to kind of figure out what you're going to do next. Like, at that point, do you already have somebody else waiting in the wings to come in? Do you kind of promote from within? We've kind of seen the tendency of trusting who you already have in your system by you having somebody like Scott run the Riveters with some success. And
there's a fairly strong rumor that one of the people sitting on the bench
has
the appropriate coaching license. Cough, Rob Vincent.
And we know the players love him. Listen, look,
as do we.
Look, just putting all the cards on the table. I think if you were to pull the plug now, we're in pure like tinfoil hat conversation mode now.
Yes.
If you were to pull the plug right now, I kind of feel like if you just said, let Rob run it, that's kind of a best case scenario for everyone, because Rob gets some experience with very little pressure. He didn't build this team, so he's trying to make the best of a situation. He gets minutes underneath him. If he does fantastic, well, now you know that you have somebody who has been part of this club as a player, has left, has come back, loves the community, loves the team, loves the fans, has a connection with the fans. And if he does great. If he doesn't do great, well, that also gives you time during the rest of the season to start laying the groundwork to find somebody else that you want to bring in to take his spot.
Yep.
And so, I do think that would be sort of the best case scenario. I'm just concerned that based on some of the things that we've heard, that this is kind of toxic beyond the point of, whatever. One loss over these next 3 games. And like, I think you throw your hands up and it's like, well, that's it. Like to your point, Indy's going to be the most difficult of them. But if we play Tampa, we lose. You go to Westchester, even if you're playing your bench and you lose, what are we doing? And
But I do want to be explicitly clear in what I was saying at the beginning, that this offseason is the time to move on. If you do it sooner, even better.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. So, okay. Well, now I think the curtain has been kind of lifted from whatever obscurity that we were discussing last week. There's a little bit more clarity this week as to kind of what we were alluding to. I know that sort of how we're feeling is not sort of isolated thoughts on the matter. What will be very interesting is this feels like it could be kind of like round one in sort of a fan team response. I will reiterate again, just as I did last week, that we are here for the players. Mm-hmm. We are here for the community. Part of the reason, again, why no matter what happened on the field, everyone was so happy was because we were so happy for Robbie and we were so happy for the team and the guys were there for them. And this is a community. So whatever happens, this community will continue to exist and live on. And that is what makes this team so special and this organization so special. And, and I think they know that. And so now it's just a matter of how do we get over this speed bump, whether it's with Bob, without Bob, whatever it may be. It's got to keep pushing forward. And so we want nothing but the best for the organization, for the club, for the players. And that's kind of why we're wading into this territory in the first place. So, Steve, any kind of final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, this was a different episode, but
it's a different episode.
Long overdue and interesting conversation to have.
Yeah. I don't want to sort of beat a dead horse. So I don't know how much we're actually going to talk about this moving forward. I think it's largely going to depend upon what happens behind the scenes moving forward. But I would love to just be able to focus more on what's happening on the field, focus on the players, hopefully maybe find some time to talk to players. I mentioned, had the pre-gaming episode with Nelson, which was great. But just lots of meetings and stuff that's making it more and more difficult. So hopefully if I can talk to people, maybe talk to Robbie in between, baby training and all of that probably won't happen. Now that I think about it, I might have to grab him after a game.
Which means you have to come to another game.
Means I didn't come to another game. I know. Right. So, all right. Well, Steve, thank you. Thank you, everybody who have been watching live. Tons of people are still here, which is great to see. We appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who are either watching this or listening to this, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We appreciate it. Leave a comment, leave a like. We tend to respond to all of those, and we do appreciate them. They do help us get found in the algorithm. So thank you very, very much. Otherwise, I think that's it for this one. As I mentioned, I believe that Kaz is going to be leading a Riveters recap show early this week. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. And then we'll kind of see how the rest of the week plays out. We might have a prediction show with Justin. We might do another player interview. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I can almost guarantee that we will be back here Sunday talking about at least the Hounds, maybe the Riveters too. And that's it. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back with more Hounds and Riveters content for you very, very soon.
See ya.